I'm making one of my favorite holiday desserts, a chocolate pie. This pie, of course, you need a pie crust as well as some sugar, salt, and cornstarch. I use milk, eggs, some vanilla extract, and butter, and chocolate chips. And by the way, what I'm making today is a double batch for a deep dish pie plate. You can also make a single batch in a regular pie plate. I start with the dry ingredients. This is just the sugar, cornstarch, and a little bit of salt, and whisk those together in the saucepan. Now notice I'm off the heat, so I'm just doing all of this before I even start heating anything. And then to this mixture, I will add in the milk. Slowly at first, whisk that in, and then get this all added to the saucepan and just whisk it a little bit to at least come close to completely dissolving that sugar in the mixture. It dissolves the sugar. It also helps distribute that cornstarch so it's evenly throughout the mixture. Then we put it on the stove on medium heat and start heating it to bring it to a boil. Now when you are mixing, especially with a whisk, it'll get kind of foamy like this, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about bringing it to a full bubbling boil like this. When you're at the full boil stage, keep stirring and mixing for 1 full minute. You need that time to really activate the cornstarch, and that's what does the thickening magic for this, what is essentially a really yummy pudding that you're going to put in your pie crust. Then you have the eggs in a separate bowl and beat those. Do a quick beat of the eggs and then become nice and smooth, and then start transferring a little bit of this liquid to that bowl. Whisk that in and do this a little bit more. You transfer up to about half of the mixture in with the eggs. This process is called tempering the eggs. You're slowly adding in this hot mixture as a way of bringing the temperature of the eggs up to the same temperature or close to the same temperature as what's in your saucepan. If you don't do this, the risk is that you add beaten eggs to your mixture and end up with chunks of scrambled egg in there, which is kind of not the texture we're going for. So please temper the eggs, whisk them together, and then add them back to the mixture in the saucepan. Once you have this added, we're going to keep whisking. Again, we're going to stir and bring this to another full boil. This shouldn't take long because you, of course, did increase the temperature of those eggs, but just keep whisking and stirring, and it'll be at this lovely full boil again. 1 more minute at the full boil stage, and then once you have that step done, look how lovely and silky this looks already. Then we're going to add in our chocolate chips. Now, adding in the chips, for this stage you can lower the heat if you'd like. I used to think you could do this by taking this completely off the heat, because all you're doing is melting the chocolate chips at this stage. There have been enough times when I get nervous that the heat's not going to be enough that I still now leave the saucepan on the heat, at least on low, until my chips are essentially almost all the way melted. And then after that you can turn off the heat. But mix and stir, and you can see this chocolate will start incorporating into the custard, and it starts to look pretty darn good, right? But do this until the chips are completely melted and incorporated into the custard. At that stage, you can remove this completely from the heat, and we're going to add our last 2 ingredients. This is when we add in the butter and the vanilla, and it is off the heat because now the residual heat is definitely enough to melt that butter, and that's as much as you need to do. We're melting the butter. It's adding one more layer of a silky element. It gives it a wonderful finish to this pie. So just keep stirring until the butter is melted and you can tell it's all completely incorporated. And at that point, then your custard is ready to add to the pie crust. Just pour that right on in there. And then just spread it out. And what we're going to do is let this cool to room temperature and then refrigerate it. And once it's refrigerated, it slices beautifully. You want to add a little bit of whipped cream. I really hope you try this, because if you do, I guarantee you will love it. Enjoy.